Hello there. Welcome to the Kinected Podcast. I am Brant Fessler, and we're excited today to have Mike Moorhouse here with us. The Kinected Podcast, we get to visit with members here at Kinected, some of the team and some of the members here, get to know them a little bit. And we are coming off of just yesterday, as of a recording, a symposium on flourishing here. And we have a symposium series at Kinected, and Mike Moorhouse leads our symposium effort. He's the project lead on that and puts a lot of that together, which I'm really grateful for. And so we can visit a little bit about that symposium. And but also there was a talk that you were supposed to give yesterday, and the symposium was so awesome. Some of the speakers went a little bit long, and so we didn't get to spend enough time on that, so we can unpack some of that today. But hey, Mike, welcome to the show today.
Well, it's great to be back, and it was a great symposium yesterday. We're getting a lot of emails, a lot of great feedback. We've seen some things on LinkedIn, so I think this was outstanding. And it was a flourishing seminar, which I think is a new concept to a lot of people. It was to me. I'd heard about it, but never really understood deeply what it is. And I got a really great dose of information yesterday, and I'm still processing it. So it was outstanding.
Yeah, I think we probably could have done a better job defining flourishing or describing it a little bit, because it's a relatively new term. There's quite a bit of effort and energy in the academic world studying flourishing, including the Global Flourishing Study out of Baylor University and Harvard University. So we spent a little time on that. We got some great definitions of flourishing, and I'll get yours as well. Some of the definitions included really just living well. Some of the words around it include things like maturity, some well-being, and it is in academics. It's a follow-on to a lot of the well-being work from positive psychology, and so it's going to have some similar frameworks if people are familiar with that, including happiness and but also emphasis on purpose and character and virtue, mental health, physical health, and financial well-being, and meaningful relationships. So those are the primary six dimensions there of the actual human flourishing framework. But the talk went on around quite a few different things. Let me hear your definition of framework, as you've been crafting that a lot.
Yeah, and I don't really have something that's absolutely nailed down, because if you look at any of the work that's being done, everybody says it's really hard to define, but I'm going to take a little bit of a stab at it. I think it's a multidimensional approach at an individual level, and of all the things that you mentioned. And, I think probably the closest thing is thriving, but it's all this next level up from thriving. It's sort of a 2X, just I think somebody said it's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at it, I always look at it starts with the individual. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the conversations yesterday were about individuals, but it also was in the context of business. And I look at the individuals that are going to be thriving within companies. But if you can get that done at that level, which is going to take time, it's not something that happens overnight, then that has an effect on a company. So, I look at it as a multidimensional alignment of everything from health, mental wellness, mental fitness, purpose, belonging, energized at work, just a whole bunch of different things. But you know me well enough that I'm going to try to define it in some form or fashion.
No, you and I have talked, maybe not on this show, but we've talked before about models and the importance of having frameworks and models to help us with our vocabulary, with our verbiage to communicate and contain information. So I like that idea of it is complex, it's multidimensional, and so the concept may be sort of simple from thinking of like, oh yeah, I think I kind of know it when I see it, but it's worthwhile to dig into it and develop your own definitions, your own frameworks for you and your team so you can communicate well with it. So it's complex. A couple of the other themes that come to mind is that environment or the ecosystem has a lot to do with flourishing. It's kind of an agricultural word. And you think of plants or fruit trees or fruit plants, things like that as flourishing. And so they flourish, one, because of their identity. So there's this identity element to it. But the environment around it, do you have the ingredients that you need, the sunlight, the water, to go into that, to cultivate flourishing. So you can have all the identity that you can handle, but if you're in a bad environment, you're not going to flourish.
Yeah.
You can be in a wonderful environment, but not really understand and lean in your identity, and you're not going to flourish there either. And so there's some complexities and sophistication or things with that. And the other thing, though, that I really love coming out is that flourishing has a depth to it as well. So I really love this inward idea section of flourishing, which is being healthy, and then the outward part of flourishing, which is bearing fruit or defined more going out. Sometimes I feel like maybe a critique of some of the well-being, perhaps verbiage is it's all about health and how healthy am I? And it's very inward focused, which is important, but that can leave us short of a fulfilled or a flourishing life.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the other part of it is it's going to be different for everybody. So looking at all the dimensions, and they vary among individuals, what flourishing for you is going to be different than what flourishing for me is going to end up being. People will weight certain things in their life more importantly than others. And I also think it's going to be cyclical. I don't think it's going to be a steady state. It's, not necessarily that, it's the same thing as happiness, but happiness sort of comes and goes. I think flourishing will have different degrees of intensity, or maybe there'll be a vacancy of flourishing because the environment's changed. And I think the environment has a lot to do with it. So
there's seasons, the cycle.
Yeah. I think that's going to be something that you're going to see. I think one of the things that's going to be difficult about people grasping this idea is that, we're sitting here and I know you've read through reams of paper just as I have, is really trying to define it. I think it's also always going to be work in progress. The environment's going to change. People's needs are going to change. Somebody's single, they become married. There's this external and internal forces that are acting on people. And the way that I looked at this, and I try to simplify everything, there's you've got the individual, and they have a certain set of needs and behaviors that they have, and what their purpose is. So there's this individual.
Right.
They have a role. It could be either personal or job role, and that intersects with them, and there's an alignment there in some form or fashion. And then you have the environment, which are either going to be internal or external forces acting on it. It's this, and that's the term I use, as an ecosystem. So that's the ecosystem that Brent operates in.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be a little bit different.
Right.
And then you and I work together at a same company. Well, the company has our little ecosystem in it. It's got yours, and then it's got 300 other people, and then there's the company ecosystem, which has got all kinds of things playing on it. So I think it's always in a state of flux. It will be, and you just have to be able to adapt. I think it's going to require a different type of mindset.
Yes,
very adaptable, very open, and a big part of that is, from my perspective, is being able to get a deep understanding of yourself.
Yes,
and then as an employer or as a family member, a friend, taking the time and effort to get a deep understanding of who you're talking to, because it really does come down to a lot of relational activity. And so it's a little messy, but I think it's going to be fun.
Know thyself. And none of us get ready in the morning without looking in the mirror. And when
married.
We don't stay married without looking in the mirror either. That'll be another topic. But we use it in our physical appearance quite a bit. We just can't pass up the morning without looking in the mirror. We have to, whether it be for shaving or for fixing our hair. And you were helping me fix my hair before, because I looked in the mirror.
Directing, not touching. I just want to be clear on that.
That's right. Don't touch the hair. But that reflection is essential for flourishing as well. we've got to know ourselves really well.
Yeah.
And I think one of the takeaways for leaders, leaders have to first know themselves, but they also need to understand and get to know better, or at least cultivate and facilitate their team members, the people that they're leading, to get to know them well. And it's also our job as leaders to get to know our people on the different layers and dimensions. Mm-hmm. If we only stay in this task, process level, then we're going to miss out on a lot of the dimensions that that can create an overall flourishing person. And so I think some of the themes that came up in the symposium is, if you don't have flourishing people, there's no way you're going to have a flourishing team or a flourishing organization. And so as leaders, we need to be focusing on that. If we've got people coming to work that are significantly not flourishing in some areas, it means that they can't come to work as whole people. They're not going to be performing or present in their fullness. So I think that's a great takeaway. Some of the speakers talked about raising the people outcomes of our businesses to at least the same level as our business outcomes, like profit or sales and revenue, things like that. So considering changing and raising the outcomes of the people on your team, and even if if we had no profit but our people got better, would that be a good day or not? And you can't do that for very long if you don't make money, right?
You've got to do both. And I think I look at it from a standpoint of everybody has business plans.
Uh-huh.
And they're perfect. They're perfect when we make them, and
big, beautiful business plans.
Big, beautiful business plan. Very, very appropriate. But they're well thought out, and they look good. There's great slides, but what makes them actionable is people.
The people, right?
And I think one of the things that's changed is that with leaders nowadays, they have to think about, there isn't a conformity that people will take. Just because you lead doesn't mean they're going to conform.
Right.
You need to connect. And there'll be some, they'll conform in some ways, but the reality is...
It was one of the isms. Are you connecting or are you controlling?
Controlling, exactly. And I think as you look at it, particularly with technology, taking care of a lot of tasks, that people's roles are going to change. A leader's role has changed.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first criteria about, you said you've got to be very self-aware, know thyself. You have to find out if you're a curious person. If you are not, you've got to learn that. If it's not innate to you, you've got to learn that behavior, because the ability to connect is going to be really critical. Mm. And, the idea of flourishing is that everybody in my world, it's not a good enough word anymore, but they're optimized. They're aligned well with their job. They're aligned well with their coworkers. Things are going well. And I think leaders have to decide, are they going to invest or spend? You can invest money or time. Are you going to spend it or invest it? And I think that's the decision leaders have to make.
Yeah.
And that is about being able to understand their people. And if they can't, they've got to find somebody that's going to help them.
Yeah.
And, whatever the tools are, get in there and understand your people and connect.
Yeah. Well, probably one of the most encouraging things is we didn't just talk theory at the symposium. We had some of the best case studies on the planet.
They were great.
Right. We had Larry Mills with Holt CAT, who shared the whole story of Holt Caterpillar and the Spurs. Did you get to try on his championship ring that he had?
No, I didn't want to touch it. It was too much money to touch my fingers.
That thing was heavy.
But I did get a picture of you with it on it. It looked like you didn't want to give it back.
That's right. I had some serious bling on there. And we also had Gary Osborne, who's founder of Cal-Tax here in New Braunfels. And I loved hearing their stories, not just, hey, here's a theory of how this might work. They said, this is how it worked. This is, both of them, over $1 billion companies, not by being smart, not by being smarter than anybody else, and not really by working harder than anybody else either. Both of them, they credited all of that growth and success to flourishing people, values integration, investing in their people, and doing things in such a way where their people got better, not just in a certification at work or a new skill at work, but just as people. And I think that was powerful. I know I left there needing to have a conversation with somebody, and it was ringing in my all in my ears and my head, the connect instead of control.
I think one of the things that stood out was, and I think it was Gary talked about the mission statement.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything about money, didn't have anything about growth. Uh-huh. It revolved around people and core values. And I believe that one of the things that he said was that he had, when they did reviews, whether they be quarterly or annual, that half of it was based on how somebody aligned with the core values, and how they stress that, how they put a framework in where they would take one of the core values and they would work on it with individuals over a certain time period, and then they do the next one. So it wasn't let's put it up on the wall, everybody's going to memorize it and talk about it, but they actually lived it. And I think that's that. You've got to be curious about people because you want to get to know them, but you also have to like people. This is one of the things that I think has really changed. Leaders are going to have to really like people to be able to be more effective. And it doesn't mean you have to just, like everybody, but you have to like being around them. If you're not, it's going to be difficult. There's no connection there.
You have to like people.
No, all people are great.
Man, if I'd known that.
All people are great. Some are just greater than others.
Well, the other thing too, we talked about having a great plan and executing on that plan. To me, what that really meant in those guys, Larry and Gary especially, was there's a faith and a courage. Mm-hmm. Like they had a trust in people. If I invest in the people, I actually let go of control a bit more, and instead invest in that person with a trust and a faith that they will bring their best. If we've hired well, if we've got good people on the team, if we invest in those people, they're going to invest back in the company. And I think the fruit of those companies is clear. One of the scriptures that I love, old proverb, but it's in the New Testament. It says, "Faith comes by hearing." And I know myself, but I hope everybody in that room yesterday left with more faith, not just hope and like, okay, I understand a theory, but actually have faith because I've seen somebody live this out and build a great company, a flourishing company, not because they were smart, but because they really invested in the flourishing of their people.
There are a lot of heads nodding when they were talking, and it was interesting because, people weren't thinking about, this is great. They just with this constant affirmation. I think the other thing that came across is it's the faith, but there's also a courage part of it.
Yeah.
As somebody that's running a company, you've got financial responsibilities. Those don't go away.
No.
You've got to be able to execute on both. But they had courage to execute on what their beliefs were, their core values. And I think they thought them out. It wasn't like they just came up, just one meeting, okay, these are our core values. They really thought them through, and they had a lot of reasoning behind it. But there's still courage when the economy's going against you, when there's going to be a loss. It would be so easy to solve with a little bit of cost cutting, doing other measures, where they decided we're going to invest. And it goes back to this concept of, spending or investing. It's either you spend your time, invest your time, spend money, invest your money. And I think that what came across to me was that they invested both. And what you ended up getting is a culture of not only people that got along, but I like this term, culture of execution, that you build this culture that is about getting things done, getting the right things done at the right time.
Right.
And also not doing the wrong things, because, wrong takes no effort. Right takes effort. And so
yeah, that's good.
I think there's a lot of that. And they also talked about there's times where they had to struggle and they had to go back. I mean, it wasn't like their minds were made up. They still had that I've got to get back on the road a little bit. We've got to align with the values, and sometimes one of them may not have been he was out of sorts. And I don't recall if it's Gary or Larry, but I talked about where he had an opinion about something and other people in the management team had a different one, but he stuck to his guns. And because he stuck to his guns, everybody sort of got aligned again.
Right. And I remember that one. It wasn't just because he had an opinion. It was like, I understand our values and my opinion is based in these, and I feel like these others aren't. So I'm not going to compromise our values just because your opinion is different. Because at the same time, they were talking, part of it was part of a great culture is making sure everybody contributes into problem solving and things like that. But I think it was Larry who talked about, we want our values to be the boss. And so as we try to come into unity in something, if we have well-defined values and mission and purpose and vision for our organization, a healthy and flourishing leadership team is going to be, we want to reach a decision that best lives out our corporate identity, our organization's purpose and values. We're trying to get a unity to that. Like that's our truth as an organization, that's our identity. And so we may disagree on things, but if we're disagreeing on ways to live that out, that's a pretty healthy disagreement.
Those are good discussions.
Those are great discussions. If we're disagreeing just because, I kind of like fighting and conflict, that may not be as healthy in there, because I'm going to, not because my idea is better, but because I prefer control. And those are unhealthy, I think, conflicts and things. Right?
Yeah, and I think, although I don't think it was said explicitly, they both knew that leaders are communicating with everything they do, every moment they're there, so people are watching. So they knew if they compromised once,
yes,
then the people below them would not buy in. And there's a little discussion around, this was actually, I think, with Enrique, with the Pecha Kucha part.
Yep. Enrique is with London Consulting Group.
London Consulting Group did a great job.
Yeah.
A lot of information in a very short time frame. But, how do you, I think the question was, how do you get people, to go through change, change management?
Yeah.
And he said it's all about the leaders. They're going to look at it. They're going to be there, and the leaders are going to be the ones that are going to have to adopt it first, and then everybody else is going to follow it. And I think that's the other part, the courage part. When you start looking at flourishing, sticking to core values, or maybe virtues, because I think when you look at them, they sort of border on both. You've got to be able to go out there and make some really hard decisions, and some that employees are going to be looking at you the whole time, especially if they come from a company that didn't have those.
Yeah.
They put them on the wall, but they don't walk the walk. And I think it's about walking the walk.
Yeah.
And it was great. And anybody that has not seen Gary Osborne or Larry speak, get any opportunity. If you see them speaking somewhere, just get a ticket if you have to pay for it. It's outstanding. Yes,
absolutely. We'll have to have them back. We had some other fantastic speakers as well. We had Robert Vogel, who's principal chair for C12 Central Texas, one of my mentors and friends. It was fun watching him do the Pecha Kucha. If you've never seen a Pecha Kucha before, it's a type of presentation, 20 slides, 20 seconds each. And it requires the speaker to really distill the essence of the message into a very structured presentation. And it was fulfilling as an audience, getting that very concise, distilled message from the Pecha Kucha session in the middle.
Everybody did a great job. There's a lot of energy there. It's our first time that we've done it symposium, but I think
the Pecha Kucha format.
Yeah, I think we want to do it again, and maybe you and I have to do it. So drink our own Kool-Aid here. But we were talking about it before we started rolling here. I tried to practice a little bit. It is not easy, and they did a great job. What amazed me was the amount of energy that they put out, and I think that's part of the format is because people are hustling to get through the slides but the amount of information that came out was outstanding. Enrique did a presentation on organizational development, and that's not just we're going to have a few slides where you just talk at a high level. He was going through. There was a lot of depth to the slides. Did really well. We had Jessica.
Yao.
Dr. Yao that did it on the importance of your physical well-being for flourishing, and she personalized it, and I thought that was great. And
I didn't like her talk at all.
Oh no, she was awesome. You know it.
Talking about exercise.
Oh, exercise and eating well.
Eating well. Yeah.
No, it was a great presentation. You just didn't like the content. but
doing hard things is good.
Yeah, and she did a great job.
Yeah.
And she's super individual. She's going through this lifestyle medicine, and which goes back to some of the things about flourishing. To bring the whole person, to use your term, shows up. It's got to be a healthy person. That really helps. And she touched on little things like getting enough sleep.
Yep.
A lot of companies, they take pride in our crew worked for 3 weeks overnight. Well, it's that may be this wave of effort that you can go through, but it's not sustainable.
And you might be listening to this podcast right now trying to help you go to sleep.
Yeah. If you're not asleep by now, give us another 30 seconds. You will be.
It's been our privilege to help you with your physical rest.
Yeah. But no, it was fantastic. And then Brett Williams,
pastor at Fireworks Church out in Bernie, Texas.
And he was literally fireworks. Just incredible energy. Just
people were crying in the room during his talk. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some people that got very emotional, but outstanding content. So it was great. I think you did an incredible job. I know you were trying to make room for me.
Give you a 20.
And those of you who've never seen Brent speak on this, you've got to see him do it. But he did an incredible job talking about flourishing. And we got a little bit tight on time. I was going to be speaking, and Brent actually was hustling to try to get through there. And it came across as, it was a little bit of not quite fire and brimstone, but it was close. It was real.
Did you feel convicted?
I did. I actually there's some people holding their hands up in the back. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah. Well, I like shame and guilt to motivate people into good behaviors.
Yeah. So. No, it was great. So these symposiums have been all very positive. We've been very fortunate to have some outstanding guests and speakers, and we've got to talk about Lashad James. He did an incredible job. He emceed this one, did an incredible job. And those of you that have not seen him, he is multi-talented. He's great MC, a magician and a mentalist. Plus he's a business owner and helps one of the churches that's here in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, Lashad's fantastic. So if you're feeling like you really missed out on the symposium, I wanted this episode to give an overview of it and some of the takeaways that we had. But we will be releasing some videos of the speakers. So I encourage you to subscribe to our channel and to our social media account so that you can know when those come out, so that if you missed the symposium, that you'll be able to listen to those talks. Since we missed getting to do Mike, tune in for our next episode, because I want to focus the next episode with you, Mike, on what you wanted to share with us, because you have some incredible tools that you've helped develop that you manage through AGW Insights. You're the Chief Operating Officer with AGW. And so I want to shift gears in this next episode, and some fascinating things. I've participated. Mike has done an assessment of me using these tools, and they're really fascinating. So thank you for joining us. We at Kinected really believe that we are better together. And so I hope you tune in to this next episode. We'll see you next time.